See, it was a good weekend of picks, despite some bonehead picks for the NFL. Week 8, but top week record so far. So that's good. 12-4. Despite some bonehead picks, which we'll talk over all of week 8, which I'd say was another joyous week of the NFL. It's going to be a fun NFL Week 9, but we'll save that for the predictions video. Today's about recap, NFL Week 8. Talk about some of the news as far as and going along with the NBA season, which is now back. Basketball is back for those who love basketball. And college football. We'll go over a bit on the podcast today. But thank you for joining me. Sorry. I hope this was going to go on, earlier, but things happen earlier. Yeah, just how it goes. Here for the podcast today. So, first, let's get into NFL Week 8. So, as I mentioned, 12-4. So, starting with the Bills being the bit too close for comfort. 24-18. Bills beat the Bucs. Bills went ahead 10-0, but a couple turnovers. Josh Allen was in the medical tent temporarily. They tied up at 10, but Bills controlled this game. I will say that Baker Mayfield threw a very good Hail Mary, but Chris Godwin messed up, I would say, on the Hail Mary, and they very well could have won that game. That's what I'll say, but Bills improved to 5-3. Bucs offense is so a bit of a question. And we'll also go on trade deadline trades as well. Get into a bit. But Panthers got their first one of the year, winning 15-13 over the Texans. Like I said, this was the David Tepper Bowl. The story out there is he wanted Bryce Young, Josh McCown, and Frank Reich wanted C.J. Stroud. Alas, Bryce Young won this day. He looked better despite Stroud having a better season. Young won today 15-13 on the last minute field goal. Cowboys pummeled the Rams. Stafford went out in the middle of the game. Crazy. Cowboys were ahead 33-3, and it looked like Rams were gaining some momentum. It was 33-17, and then Stafford sprained something in his thumb, UCL. Brad Rippon the rest of the way. Yeah, unfortunate. Well, it was also unfortunate for Vikings fans. They did beat the Packers at home. However, Kirk Cousins torn Achilles, out for the rest of the season. Which I'll get into the quarterback, carousel after my thoughts on the trade. Well, it was a fun game, then. Just gotta say about Kirk Cousins, for me and for those watching me, y'all know my feelings about Kirk have been, he's very good, not great. Yes, his record in prime time and big games, you could say his record isn't good, but unless really in a way he falls into Matthew Stafford category before he's with the Rams, and now, until you see him doing the playoffs, grander stage, he's not going to get his respect, really. But he did gain some fans in the quarterback series last year. So, there you go. Well, it was a very good game, I'd say. For the Saints, winning 38-27 over the Colts. Derek Carr, Modon Point, Rashid Shaheed, 3 catches for 153 yards. Great job by him. Michael Thomas had a hell of a day. I mean, very good all around. Colts offense, the weird thing is Jonathan Taylor had 90 plus yards in the first half, and he was probably injured. I didn't really see, but they didn't really use him in the second half. So, yeah, Zach Moss, John Taylor, that duo is good. Minshew, keeping it afloat, I would say. Keeping it afloat for the Colts. Good to see. I would say one of my bonehead picks, Dolphins, as they beat the Patriots in Miami. Tua, offense rebounded after losing to in Philly last week. But yeah, Dolphins turn around. Jalen Ramsey returned. Mac Jones, he did fine until he threw the pick to Ramsey. Yeah, it was pretty much all from there. They did score a touchdown to make it a touchdown game, but yeah. Miami now tied for the best record in the AFC. 4-way tie. So, and then in the Battle of New York, or the second Battle of New York, if you count Bills and Giants, Jets beat the Giants 13-10. I feel bad for Graham Ngnanou. Missed 2 field goals, including what would have been basically the game-winning field goal. But yeah, he missed 2 plays. The Jets were down there like that. Spiked the ball with 1 second remaining. Greg Zuerlein ties up. And then in overtime, he wins it. So, Jets now above 500 at 4-3. Giants lose a heartbreaker. And then it's very convenient how these two games are right next to each other on the list. These were the big weather games on Sunday with rain and wet. So Jags beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh 20-10. Tiki-taki, I understand the frustration for the Steelers side over some of the calls. Yeah, how things went. Nonetheless, Jags win. And yeah, Steelers offense odd. So let's say. Will Levis, another upset that came in good for me. 4 touchdowns, 20-23. He got it done. 3 to DeAndre Hopkins. Taylor Heinicke came in for Desmond Ridder. Said it was a possible concussion. But alas, Heinicke did well. Ultimately, it was too little, too late. Taylor Heinicke. Yeah, I think he should start for them next week in Minnesota against Minnesota. It was a bit of a scare, but Eagles triumphed in Washington, FedEx Field, 38-31. Once again, the Commanders gave a great fight, but it wasn't enough. They were up 17-10, and then, crazy, but Eagles found a way. But great day from Sam Howell, I will say. AJ Brown. I'm sure Titans fans are still irate about them dealing him to birds, but oh well. Was a fun one indeed. The Seahawks, I got 1 point off the final score, but 24-20 was the final score actually. Seahawks final drive, they got pick, and a touchdown, Jackson Smith-Njigba. And Browns defense did what they could. Seahawks offense paved the way in the end. The bigger bonehead pick. Cardinals losing, although they made it one score at the end, which in a way made me feel a little better, but nonetheless, Ravens win 31-24. Yeah. Lamar Jackson also with the Ravens. Now 6-2. Great for them. Yeah. It felt like this could be a draft game. My bad. And then Broncos Chiefs. Disappointment for a few reasons. I think for the biggest, for the overall fans, Schefter tweeted, the forecast expected of a high of 29 degrees and expected of at least 6 inches of snow. So that's one. So then you're watching, there's no snow. But at least you could tell it was cold because you saw the color. uh, or you saw people's voice or the players' voices. So there you go. So there was a report that came out Sunday, and yes, I could have said, change my pick to Broncos, but that kind of would have been cheap. So, but there was a report Sunday morning that Mahomes had the flu or was experiencing flu-like symptoms, wasn't feeling well night before. And then during the game, you also saw someone stepped on his hand. Didn't see who, but you could tell he was favoring his hand towards sideline, left hand. Didn't seem bad, but with the mix of not feeling well and stepping on his hand, just wasn't a pretty day for the offense for Chiefs. Now, look, it's a double-edged sword. You know, look, the reality is Chiefs offense, the weapons. Look, besides Kelsey, there's not a lot of very good options on that offense. We know that. But because he had flu like Simpson, take that into account. The other thing to take into account is that Broncos lost 16 straight games to the Chiefs. This was one they had to get done. In the freezing cold, in Denver, when their season is pretty much in doubt the rest of the way, and you need moral victories to build that Sean Payton, Russell Wilson relationship. And Russell didn't put up a lot of yards, partly because they had 5 turnovers. But they got it done 24-9. Yeah. So that was expected to be one of the games of the week was very good up until the end. So another surprise. So Brock Purdy did play. He did start. So while I looked in doubt, and just from my opinion, I don't think he should have played. But of course, if you wanted and he practiced, I'm not a part of the 49ers coaching staff or anything, but so Purdy did play after stifling in the 2 last practices of the week. And you can tell the 49ers offense the last 3 weeks, all 17 points they've scored, and they've lost. This was the first time where the defense felt sluggish, like it was looking for answers. And it's probably why they picked up who they picked up on the old trade deadline. Oh yeah, Bengals off a bye. Joe Burrow played a very good game, and great for them. Above 500. Going into Sunday night, playing against the Bills in a hierarchy battle in the AFC. Sunday night was a good one for the Chargers as they won 30-7. Over the Bears. Tyson Bagent. First pass looked great for Tyson Bagent. Long pass. But after that, you can tell why he's a backup. And you can tell why this Bears team has lost as much as they lost. No Justin Fields again. I think part of the thing is, so they had the number 1 overall pick before the Panthers trade. And all of a sudden, they get DJ Moore. Okay, he's a bona fide wide receiver. Really good one. But you start to see, so there's expectations with Justin Fields. And then you see why they were the number 1 overall pick before the trade. Just my opinion. Because it does seem likely their pick and the Panthers pick is going to be very high draft. If you are still fond of Fields, because the jury to me is still kind of out. If you're still fond of Fields, probably a good idea for them to trade one of the high picks because one of these teams are going to desire one of these quarterbacks. Get Marvin Harrison Jr. and get, much as you can. Or high draft pick because they need to have some holes. And then top on Sunday night or Monday night where the Detroit Lions won 26-14 over the Raiders. The Raiders, they had a number of turnovers but couldn't do anything. They had one very good drive for their only offensive touchdown. Their other touchdown was pick 6 by Marcus Peters. Jimmy G missed 2 wide open throws on Devontae Adams, which could have very well swifted the momentum in this game, but didn't happen. Max Crosby and the defense played about as well as they could have, but Jahmyr Gibbs played a great game, over 150 yards rushing. Yeah, Sam Laporta paying dividends already. His first year. Crazy, but yeah, 12-4. The highest I've hit this season. Could have very well been 14-2 if it wasn't for it, but nonetheless, you live or you learn. Well, you learn. And so got a number of weeks left in the season to improve on that. To improve past 12. So we'll see. But nonetheless, good week. Yeah. So Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngnanou. At first, when I heard that it was a split decision, knew for sure you had to watch the highlights. And Francis Ngannou looked good in there. Tyson Fury wanted his stuff, but obviously the biggest highlight of the fight is Francis Ngannou knocking down Tyson Fury. Because we know how powerful Francis is. But nonetheless, they gave it to Fury, split decision. And based on the majority of stuff I've read, they clearly see this, that Ngannou show one. See, here's the thing with boxing. Boxing, for the last number of years, there's been a flaw in their system with judging all that. Well, judging's been an issue both in MMA and boxing. But all I'll say from my perspective is both guys had some very good shots. And the biggest thing to me was Ngannou knocking down Fury. That's what I'll say. But nonetheless, impressive for Ngannou to stand in there and didn't score the win, but hung in there very well against the Gypsy King. Tyson Fury is gonna face Alexander Usyk to unify the heavyweight titles. So that's his next priority. But I could definitely see a big rematch. Francis wants it. And, Francis and the UFC kind of burned the bridge. So, I'm sure Francis probably looks at this and probably thinks, okay, well, I did a very good job against, arguably the best heavyweight on the planet, and it was a split decision. So I could probably get paid better for this than whenever he's getting paid for PFL or something. Yeah. But good for Francis Ngannou. Now let's go over college football bits of this weekend. Was a decent weekend, I would say, of college football. And we'll go over the first college football playoff rankings. Short review. So, Kansas, with the big upset, they beat Oklahoma 38-33. Very good job by Kansas. They relied too much on Dylan Gabriel late, but had a chance. Oregon showed that they are a title contender to win a natty. In their stomping of Utah. Bless me. And Utah, 35-6. Georgia went to the swamp and didn't get chomped. They won 43-20. And the other ranked first ring matchup this week, Louisville shut out Duke. So there you go. USC in a fun thrower survived Cal 50-49. Kentucky beat or lost to Tennessee in a fun one, 33-27. We did get a snow game Saturday night. Air Force beat Colorado State 30-13. Ole Miss is creeping up. They won 33-7 over Vanderbilt. Yeah. So yeah. And then the other big upset, Arizona upset number 11, Oregon State, the Beavers. So there we go. So let's go over the first college football playoff rankings. The week. Some will agree, some, and so no real surprise, I would say. So, starting at number 8, Alabama. Number 7, Texas. Number 6, Oregon. 5, Washington. Albeit I'm surprised because, of course, Oklahoma beat Texas, but since then, we've seen who's gotten better and who's gotten worse. It seems. So, Florida State, number 4. 3, Michigan. 2, the Bulldogs. And number 1, Ohio State. Which, I mean, look, they're 2 signature victories against Notre Dame, the last second win, and then who's number 12 on the AP poll, against Penn State, who I assume is number 9. I mean, you look at Georgia's schedule, you look at Michigan's schedule, they're not quite the same. The Big Ten's been much tougher than the SEC. It feels to a T this season. But, yeah. Nonetheless, I'll say great for the Buckeyes. The big matchup obviously leads to Michigan, Ohio State. Again, that's going to be a fun one. Currently 1-3. Will that change? We shall see. That as that matchup looms near. So keep your eyes open. So I will not comment about the World Series until it is over, but I will say great job for the Texas Rangers. Though, great sad for Alice Garcia. So we'll see. We'll see. Game 5 is tomorrow night in Arizona. So, quickly I want to mention, because I feel I have to, or want to, but I will chime in about the NFL trade deadline trades. So, here we go. So, the big one was going to be who would the Vikings trade for quarterback? And of course, it would depend how they are faithful in Jaren Hall. So they traded for Josh Dobbs, who, of course, traded before the season to Arizona and, did well the first month of the season, lost his job this week to Clayton Tune, and basically made known that it's either going to be Clayton Tune or Kyler Murray start this Sunday. So there you go. Now, I think we can agree that Dobbs, first month of the season, he did good. And he can run the ball, he can throw well. He's not as a big thrower as Cousins was or on point, but he can get done and he can provide better wheels than Kirk was able to. And they traded Ezra Cleveland to the Jaguars. I'm surprised that they would even trade an all lineman, but there you go. Jags get depth. Very underrated, I would say. Trade was Donovan Peoples-Jones traded to the Lions for a 6th-round pick in 2025. Last year's rookie deal. Again, maybe they're thinking they don't want to pay him. They trade for Elijah Moore, Mark Cooper, drafted Cedric Tillman. We got some guys on that team. So yeah. Sewell Douglas traded to the Bills. Well, he and the 5th trading to the Bills for a 3rd. So prior to the season, the last 2 seasons prior to this season, masquerade 9 picks within the previous 2 seasons. So very good. Only 1 pick this year. But with Trey White going down earlier this season, they could very well use help on that back end. So good for them. Commanders trade their pass rushers, Montez Sweat, to the Bears for a 2nd rounder. I'd say good for both because, these 4 have been underwhelming as a whole. And, you expect with those 4 them to be better, as pass rush. Now, they both have solid stats, good stats. Sweat has 6.5 sacks. Chase Young has 5 so far this season. But, yeah, for 2nd, and then 49ers getting Chase Young for a 3rd. Crazy. Yeah. But Chase Young, Nick Bosa reunite. I think the bigger problem for the Niners is their offense, if I had to guess. But add more for defense. There you go. We'll see. But yeah, that's the episode for today, guys. Thank you all. Again, sorry for a bit of delay. Some things get into for today. But yeah. So probably for Thursday, I'll have my predictions video and stuff uploaded before the sadly got posted during, but before the Thursday night football game between the Titans and Steelers. You guys will get that. So last, thank you. Subscribe if you're new. Hit that like button. How about the video? Thank you guys. Peace. And see you guys Thursday.